The bankruptcy of the United States government. A statement made by a member of Congress highlights the current status of the U.S. government, which is said to be in Chapter 11 bankruptcy. This member asserts that Congress members are trustees overseeing the reorganization of the government, which has effectively been dissolved by the Emergency Banking Act of March 9, 1933. This act, declared by the President, marked the federal government as bankrupt and insolvent, leading to the dissolution of its sovereign authority. The Joint Resolution H.J.R. 192 further abrogated the gold standard, leaving the U.S. government to exist only in name. The receivers of this bankruptcy are identified as international bankers, operating through entities like the United Nations and the International Monetary Fund. All United States government offices are now functioning under a de facto status due to emergency war powers, with the original constitutional republic dissolved. The government has shifted to a new form, described as a socialist/communist order, with the Secretary of the Treasury effectively becoming a governor under the International Monetary Fund. The Founding Fathers established that only gold and silver could be considered money. However, as these metals became impractical for everyday transactions, paper currency was introduced as a substitute, with promises to redeem it for gold or silver. Federal Reserve Notes, FRNs, do not promise such redemption and are considered debt obligations rather than money. This distinction is crucial, as accumulating money substitutes leads to deeper debt rather than wealth. FRNs function as unsecured checks on a closed account, creating an inflationary system that burdens citizens with hidden taxes. The Federal Reserve controls the supply of these notes, misleading the public into believing they represent real value. The difference between paying and discharging a debt is emphasized, indicating that debts can only be discharged with currency that lacks intrinsic value. The Federal Reserve System operates under maritime law, functioning as a separate entity from the federal government. It was established based on principles of sovereignty, yet it has operated contrary to constitutional guidelines. The Federal Reserve Act of 1913 hypothecated all American property to the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve, effectively registering U.S. citizens as beneficiaries of a trust without ownership rights to their property. This act pledged the personal property of citizens as collateral against the federal debt. As a result, Americans have returned to a feudal-like system where land ownership is nominal, and the general populace acts as tenants under the sovereign control of the Federal Reserve Bank. This ongoing situation has persisted for decades without substantial protest or awareness from the public. The consequences are evident in the widespread financial struggles faced by citizens, with many mortgaged to the hilt and lacking real assets. The current state of America reflects a profound bankruptcy in leadership, financial credibility, and human rights advocacy. This undeclared economic war represents a form of slavery that is both corrupt and pervasive. The call to action urges citizens to awaken to this reality and reclaim their country from this economic bondage.